All right, so we are recording, so just you are all aware of that, but don't worry about it. We can't see you, we can't hear you, we don't know that you're there, which is very odd to be doing theater to an empty room and your own face on Zoom, but that is how it is. So, Elena, why don't you take it away?
Because we have a new version of the fourth wall, but we'll try to collapse it at the end after the show. So my name is Elena, and I am the president of the UBC English Students Association, which is presenting this show today. So the beginnings of this performance sort of started all the way back in September when Kiara and I were talking about the possibility of trying to do something like this. I've known Kiara's brilliant abilities with verse for a while, so that ESA was thinking about what can we do in this terrible online times, and we really wanted to do something that involved students, that allowed people to express their creative side, and we're thinking about doing a dramatic reading. And I, knowing Kiara's play, thought that it would be brilliant to try to perform it, and she, to my great joy, was really excited to do that.
I wasn't about to turn that down.
So it was something that we really wanted to do, and we kind of jumped into it, not really sure how things were going to happen, but we were absolutely thrilled with the responses to the calls for actors that we got, and it is really, really exciting after all these months to be here and actually be putting forward this performance for all of you. So I would like to thank the actors who have shown such incredible dedication to this project, as well as the English department who helped us promote this event and have supported the ESA throughout the year. My fellow ESA execs who helped us prepare promotions and figure out the Zoom webinar thing and all sorts of other technical details. And thank you very much to all of you in the audience, because it would be no fun without you here. So before I turn it over to Kiara, thought I'd mention another really exciting ESA event coming up next week is our colloquium, which is a mini English conference with students presenting their work as well as a faculty presenter. Kiara herself is actually one of our presenters, so if you want to hear something from her that is not in verse, I recommend you come. And so that's next week on March 11 at 4, Thursday. We also have a few more socials coming up this year that are all really fun, so especially for those of you who are English students, keep an eye out for those, but also everyone else is also welcome to join. And that's it. It has been absolutely thrilling to see the play come alive in performance during our rehearsals, and I'm really, really excited to be presenting the actual play to all of you today. And now I'll pass it over to our absolutely brilliant playwright and director, Kiara.
Thank you. You are too sweet, but we know that. Yes, just seconding everything that Elena said. As the playwright who has no part in anything until someone is performing the work, thank you so much to the ESA and to the UBC English department, and to all of our actors and the ESA executives and the profs and everyone who has helped bring this to life. We are tremendously grateful and thrilled, both of us, and everyone else here that you've done that. So thank you so much, and thank you to the audience. Elena says that this wouldn't be any fun without you. Well, I've had tremendous fun in rehearsals, but yes, we do need you, and we are so grateful that you're here. So beginning tonight, for anyone new who has joined, we are recording the show tonight, but do not worry. As an audience member, we cannot hear nor see you, so you don't need to worry about that. First, we would like to begin the evening with land acknowledgement. So the UBC ESA would like to acknowledge that we are gathered together on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Musqueam people, and that we have actors and tech broadcasting from the Musqueam, Squamish, Tsleil-Waututh, and Coquitlam nations, and we also have members on the ancestral land referred to as the Treaty 6 territory. And that's home to many First Nations as well as the Métis people. We thank them all for their care of the land, and we are honored to live and work here. So thank you very much for that. As well, we would like to announce that at the end of tonight's show, there will be a talk back. So we will take a short break. Everybody can get up and stretch and grab some water. And then feel free to come right on back, and us and the cast will be here. And you will be able to ask them your questions, any questions you have. How did we do this? Why did we do this? What happened on our Zoom rehearsals when people didn't unmute themselves for a whole monologue? All sorts of fun things like that. So feel free to hang around after and ask those questions. So we will remind you at the end of the show again, but yes, do feel free to do that. I see we have a recording or a question in the chat about recording. Yes, we will hopefully be posting the shows online at a later date. So that will be for anyone who who is not able to make it and who just desperately wants to see these. Yes, they will be available. We also have a show going up on Sunday. So if anyone can't make it, or it's so good you just want to come back, because why wouldn't you? We are running another live stream of the show at this Sunday the 7th at 3 p.m. You'll be able to join around 2:45. So it's a new day. Anything could happen every time. Every show is a little different. So thank you for your questions. And I think our final remark that we want to make is for anyone in the audience, please refrain from using the chat until the end of the performance. Just because we love to hear your comments. We love to hear from you. But we don't want to distract the actors, because it can be quite distracting to have that pop up in the middle of your lines. So try to refrain from using the chat at all until the end, and then throw out all of your congratulations, and then come back for the talk back and you can tell them. So unless if there are any more audience member questions about anything like that you quickly want to put in the chat, I'll give you a couple seconds to do that now, and if not, we will get going. But thank you everyone who has joined us tonight. We are eternally grateful, and we're very excited to be bringing this. We've been rehearsing for a couple months. Our cast is wonderful and talented and have been supremely generous with their time and with their energy. And so we are very excited to bring it to you. As we should say this as well, as we all know with Zoom, sometimes there are glitches. There are technological things that we cannot predict. So if anything glitches, if there's anything like that, we are aware of it, and we will be dealing with it. But hang tight, and if anything seems to be going on for longer than reasonably it should be, we will be looking into it, and we'll be getting that dealt with. So there's always technology. All right then. Well, it looks like we have no other questions. So with no further ado, we welcome you all again, and we really truly hope that you enjoy the show.
Crippus, heard you not the news today? Our general brings arrivals from the war, fresh baptized in the blood's triumphant spill.
So soon returned? The plague is not so quick.
Nay, nor so mortal neither.
Yet he thinks himself a god, past reach of righteousness. So whilst he lives, 'tis seen that justice hangs his shield upon her balance chain and weighs on them.
It must not be.
It must, so long as he can muster powers thrice, aye thrice, the sanctioned shock, and such men as will sin in servitude and register their vice obedient, as if, in truth, the loans of loyalty were gratis made of grace, devoid of interest divine. By this, such trespass has he done against our laws, such license forced, that we must needs address and answer them. I'll to the Empress, that she may know of this delinquency, and knowing, pass on him a sentence dread, that even those tough brackets traced round war cannot exempt him from.
Intend you so? To her he is an angel's alibi. The counting of his feats would be as but the watering of grapes with their own wine.
Are you the strength of this mine argument?
Not in itself, but to proceed as such would fire bricks of mortar, and so mistake their use. There's cheapness in the gold that can't be changed. But look, she comes. Be plain, for truth is rhetoric enough. No flower needs the wheat's, nor air perfume, necessities its own advertisement.
I heed your words.
My honored lords, what faces have we here? What private cause have you that shuns the mirth of general joy?
Though you may think our care specific in our spite, be sure it is most general, Majesty.
How came these men to know the conference twixt the sword and sheath? They'll find no more. A little ignorance at cuff and collar takes stain of blame. It shocks me much to find such variance of fruit from single root. Is reason such a relative that you may curse what's blessed by others?
Relative, lady. Nay, not lest the martial turn marital, the arms amorous.
More alarm I find that you should with the same reaction mark such disparate acts.
May tears not register delight and sorrow both?
Then set yourself to praise and stack reward on felons' deeds, as now you honor, laud, and compensate this chartered thief. Give naked riot his nativity in peace, which gestate was, in war, born posthumous, whose midwife was authority, who suckles him on blood.
Have done, thou insolence.
His death to him speaks next.
Mother, it is unbearable.
Speak not to me of bearing who have borne thyself.
My noble queen, suspend thy wrath upon my father's head. His loyalty thou daily proves in me, who loves you dear. My mother in her grave, he swaddled me, performed best virtue's office to myself and my young brother. Virtue's fosterlings had not such nurture as was given neath his hand. Some burden of your charges I have heard, that being of a pitch so low and base disdained my betters' ears. But I will answer them, and diagnose that you have scratched the itch of your suspicion, which has made your accusation rash. You say my father forced his soldiers past the bounds of war and pressed on lawful men, had been excused or by their injuries unfit to battle dread? I know this could not be. Some year ago, a wealthy nobleman solicited my marriage against my will, and granting he was kind and something fair, I could not love him, for my heart was fixed on another, though he knew not whom. My father, who had violent rights of force and influence upon my tender self, refused to suit and let me liberty, which interest of affection now I pay. He ne'er enjoined nor said betimes that love may ripen in the hand that's green on land, nor uttered threats nor curses, menaced not disownment nor a warped inheritance. My dower's still as full as Delphi's shrine, as Venus's lips, as rich as Eden's crop, but gave eternity as ornament to love. Believe you then this man who flinched to use compunction where 'tis due, against his child, against a girl, no less, could practice such indifferent force of thought?
That testimony doth unspeak itself when praising the foundation of its wealth.
Oh, too, so many locks make a weak box. Indeed, this forceless reticence that pleads your father's part condemns your brother's deeds. A father's charge had cleared him of some blood, which now, as you confess, could not be forced, was by a free election lone performed. By no means seek a soldier's pardon thus, for murder in its agency and act, or what disgrace your brother made of love, its hunger soothing with the peaceful dove.
These are dark accusations, that in which your objects easily mistook. Look to it.
Clearest truth, like water darkly stains, though colorless, transparent it remains.
Good mother, for that title's near the queen. As Theodora showed the child of the youth, the envied office of the orphanage, commend thyself to do a parent's part, the which Medea would not have refused, and entertain the plea which here I breathe, as thou so oft attended to my yarns of infancy, which on the loom of your sweet patience wove the mantle more mature.
Thy new appeal in his old apparel speak. Thou art more free, and wear thy plea not woolward to thy honor, as do these. Begin.
My words as brief as was that youth, I tell. As you love me, would hold me fast from harm and suffer ills that I might lose and ache. Then guard you good Aurelius, his son. Thou know'st we shared a cradle in our youth, and often nursed confusion unaware upon our undistinguished infancy, that thou wouldst love us both indifferently to blunt the odds. Such undiscerning love recall at haste, and we may measure out one path from womb to tomb. He will be safe.
I'll gain no love upon my brother's lack. 'Tis thus to fill with bags another sack.
Observe, youth, parsed with wisdom's argument. Be silent, lest thy reason lose the right to innocence. Cassandras in the cradle are ne'er grey in their graves. Beseech no more. The general makes reproach to thy approach, and this his diffidence thou shalt not find in me, who lacks no spirit to command. Be gone. Let me hear no more thy voice, and be grateful that ye may leave by choice.
Come, good Croupas, let us leave the while.
I know the colour of justice's eyes, for she her blindfold sheds to bind the wounds of justice. I'll be gone.
Inferno fault of yours that I request absence for a space. My gentle girl, your father greet with reverence and lead him to our place.
I'll do so, madam.
Constantine, my son, collect the court, and honor so thyself to honor them that have accosted thee. My prince of passions, how thou hast gladdened me! Thou canst not know it, though thou art the cause. Nay, do not blush. Is it shame to be so loved?
'Tis a shame to be the object of a love so bottomless. I'll sooner sink. And more is the shame that I so late did disrespect the same, which memory cannot endure report of, let alone enjoyment on it. 'Tis well the curb respected kinder than the snaffle abused, so love is larger in its limits than its lengths.
I am not cross with thee. Thou hast given me more trouble in the womb than out of it, which is most rare. What mother e'er deserved such a son? There's but one more, and 'twas cross indeed.
My favor and my faults.
Would 'twere not so. 'Tis right that your transgression pardon pleads, for 'twas a crack against authority. But his, that generally shows no dissent, indeed permitted, nay, demanded, was by me. 'Tis most hard to reprimand, most hard and most unjust. His deeds, in peace and on the private streets, were monstrous, as that which seasons the pot oft poisons the plate, and so it may be here. But he's a pot stays hot once off the flame, and cooks without the fire till all burns. I fear its touch. Can wrong ne'er purpose right, nor bad serve good? There's ugly tools make objects beautiful. Had he not broke these laws inviolate, we'd lost the war, and with it lost the law. Whilst I had force, and such a man who knew response above responsibility, I could not favor right, so nothing's left. For in the province of obedience, he was a prince. This fidelity endeared him long, for seeming thus to prove my power's strength. My rule was blank, and was the easier to shoot. My reign so dull, that could not be perceived against the cloud, but must be seen in splashes on the pond. This I enjoyed o'ermuch, and thought in such a loyalty complete to measure full dimensions of authority. And yet, the sheath must always just exceed the sword, the bowstring longer than the arrow's length, the string not shorter than the needle long. What's more dilated cannot be enlarged. So candle-like, success that in the sweat of its endeavor drowns itself and dies. Be welcome, and be blessed, noble friends. My knightly Petrus, welcome. We do read the vastness of thy triumph in thy train, a very index of existence, sure, in which Noah's chronicle is a clause. There's no declining here.
Nor none here neither, without an art commemorative neath which to bend our heads.
What need thou of an ark that hath the porches of high heaven for a monument?
'Tis praise unwarranted.
The warrant's in my will.
Aye, so is the war. Proud victory flies not on angels' wings, no more than crowns or halos, but for form. Forgive the rough impertinence my son retains from war. There's more blood in his blush than he did spill.
Is that why thy blush is hid beneath a beard? Or else the habit of our enemy thou takes in mockery? Indeed, at first I thought thou wert a foe.
I wear this fashion but by your command.
How so? Thou'st never bearded me before.
I've a bald tongue, for all my bearded jaw. The truth. Thy last imperative to me, upon departure's lip, instructed me against all harm, to suffer ne'er hurt nor injury. For thou wouldst feel the cut within thy heart more painful than my hide. Respecting this command, I never dared encounter with a razor next my skin, more die beneath the scalpel than the sword. So thus my change approves my constancy, and does disfigure not my loyalty.
And wouldst thou cease to eat? Should I demand, unless thou choked? Or barricade thy breath, lest rank infection pass? Such loyalty, if such it must be called, reserves no more for use than does a purse of greater worth than the meager worth is carried in it. Fie! A dog of absolute obedience will come to any calls him. Such a curse more deadly to authority than wolves, who knows his name, but not his master.
'Tis to describe the sun by shadow thus.
Or to have clear eyes on a cloudy day.
What I have done, you charged me. Will the cost be greater than the worth? But now 'tis spent. So virtue's cheapened when on sin it's lent.
Look thou this lesson.
Less on that, I pray.
This traitor doth redeem. My father is more honored in his enemies than friends. Relate, thou wretched parallel, thy shame.
I cannot.
Why? Thou hast a tongue left yet.
I cannot, sir, articulate alack. When I have learned to lie, then hear my shame.
Thou will lie in thy grave soon enough. Learn there.
I'll hear him speak.
As thus, before a crowd.
So shy? More ears make not less music. Speak, and tell the grim adventure of your loss.
That faculty that is a fault in swords may serve in words, and so I will be blunt. In glory's audit, I have been extreme among our force, a credit such as kings transact with fortune on. For this, my lord Marthanes promoted me unto the top and utmost pinnacle of rule beneath himself, that I have often met your chief in fierce equality of battle's terms. But he, in desperate cruelty, led attack against our promised innocent, as if all pity were extinct in heaven past. I'll not relate such vicious crimes I saw, such wounds of their most precious treasures robbed, such supplicants on execution's knees, the raw prayers, the candles of mercy used to light the light the stakes and pyres of senseless death. My sleep shall not be whole when such things are. Yet he's exempt from hell.
On what grace?
None of them but the devil's, for he'd lose his disciples to such a one. He yet is envious for his preeminence in heaven's wrath, so late usurped by thus.
Go to. There are no shadows in the night, nor crimes in war of worse offense than all. This is a bloated count.
I know not that. The full and starved stomachs both do swell, so let him on, and weigh afterwards.
With this grim purpose came he to a town some little way enriched with needful goods, upon the which we could not let him seize. But his arrival, like winter for the harvest was complete, did mock our haste with speed disastrous. Preventing him these gains, my lord condemned the city to be razed, and urgent exodus denied to those within. To me this duty fell.
Thou art too graceful to trip so, I think.
Thou scorns obedience as 'twere a sin.
But I have better education now. Obedience is such a common script that reckons many languages at once, both sin and virtue in its text expressed. Have we not evidence from heaven thus? For Adam's was a fall obedient, as sure as was his bliss.
He fell in love not from obedience.
I pray thou mark the bed that's curtained in obedience. But here I see a newer breed of man. Had he been Adam, we'd held Eden still, nor need to rest prerogative on grace. But that for love, I am another Eve, and unencompassed love was Eden's loss. So there my son spoke true and something wise, that unconditioned love is never well, unfit the distance run it did foretell. So, gentle soldier, on.
My thanks to you. So short to say, I did not do this deed, nor follow orders that to chaos lead. An infant's laugh did curdle to a cry, that mute eloquence persuading my heart were pleas. Nay, very prayers opposed my ears.
The nursery tames more fathers than children. Your children sure are blessed.
I hope they are, for heaven houses them. My loving wife, in pain, too wide for a narrow bed, her life surrendered in the flush of birth, which came into this world the bloodier than most men leave it. But 'twas not to be, for the same priest blessed as buried him. Remembrance so creased the present time, my actions folded on familiar lines, and tears of pity drowned the fevered brand. Her memory did requisition grace, for she, who her whole being hazarded in hope anonymous for eyes unseen, symmetry of honor drew from me, that dared to match her courage, which when struck might light hearts, not the pyres, against obedience and loyalty of friends, no less than lords, I turned my teeth.
And split thy tongue. Its word cannot be trusted. Nay, think'st thou can break faith without fracturing belief?
All dogs are wolves when they bite. So.
By this thy argument, 'twould seem thou think'st 'twere better to die a mother than live a woman. To be thus is to have full wombs and empty stomachs. These cradles of praise are poor, yet thou art rich in them. How I despise the reason of thy words, yet crave their sense, I cannot tell.
In truth, your majesty, although I cannot speak unto the rest, I well do know what 'tis to suffer an empty stomach, and not a pain I'd wish on any man or woman born.
Thou shalt be fed. Go, men, prepare the feasts. My wine and bread feeds angels, if not priests.
She has much altered.
You have altered her and sunk your worship in a mortal sea.
I am betrayed.
You are.
What I have done,
Were loyal deeds.
but signed in blood, and bare evictions come. Where shall I house? What roof can shelter him who's burnt his walls? Oh God, I am undone. Nay, come not near me, lest I should strike against my will. How could I lend my soul into another's care, who would not trust a nursemaid with my babes, who was by nature framed to nurture them, and better knew, and better felt than I? There's no borrowed horse but for hard riding. When she did stand betwixt my conscience and myself, I had no fear. My rich parade was pardoned then, my oath and vows, the shared confessional, and honors did absolve, and bought with bloody spoil indulgence by the Bibleful, for thefts that funded them. Oh, my soul, I am betrayed.
Very like.
What? No better comfort hast? When thou cried, I charmed thee out of thy infirmities, though 'twas not more than an itch. I was not a quiet youth like Constantine. No, why, he was a quieter babe than Christ. And Mary has more fuss to calm him than Irene, for when he cried, the whole world heard. I made thou eloquent. Thou hast in thee more language than you are, and very like. I said, I am betrayed. Why answers thou but very like?
Very like Hercules, who was betrayed. Why? So very like Christ, Achilles, mighty Samson, Caesar too, were all alike betrayed. Medea was.
Pray, leave her off. She's something worse.
So well.
Yet in the rest, these similes suffice. For she's more proud than Agamemnon was, Delilah's sharper sister. Bigger in one labor than Eurystheus's 12, and could have well taught Judas how to kiss.
There's matter yet. 'Tis an abuse that lauds and not offends.
I'll thank thee yet. Look there, what man is that?
I know the same. His gait, if not his name, remembers me. That hurt he got against Nicephorus.
Save thee, honest soldier. What news lends thee this haste? Is't any interest to myself?
Aye, sir, of most great interest.
Whose charge sent thee here?
Why, your own, sir.
Wage you thus with me, knave?
Nay, sir, I cannot. My wage is unpaid.
Let him alone, lest he coin more phrases.
I'd need coin no phrases if he coined men. This busyness is my business, you see.
I make no sense of this exchange.
Oh, sir, the rates of my knowledge are not so steep. You need not climb above to understand. Who says the tongue is cheap hath never paid an orator. Bare talk's worth more than deeds. But my rich words describe a matter poor. Thy treasuries are bare, thy coffers took to coffin babes. The soldiers claim their fees and splint their broke obedience with spears. 'Tis something fierce when the pledges of war redeemed are in rebellion, like those men who buy the right to beg. But such it is, they cannot long be eased.
Can this be so? Their vows are more in flower than in fruit.
Men's stomachs all are mercenaries, true. But this week past, in warlike posturing, they tore a captain from his nightly rounds on promise of his gold, which they dispersed as common joinery twixt sin and will. Yet today's feast is but tomorrow's fast, and quickly they'll desert.
High insolence!
Indeed, methought 'twas strange to hear these men entreat upon their children's benefit with desperate grace and melting eloquence, who late had scratched the rhyme from languages and closed up youth, life's wide apostrophe, whereon possession of the world is clasped, who wash soft infants' blood from their rude hands with mother's milk and tears, libations poured upon compassionate behest. It was a most commendable hypocrisy, as hard to credit as not to pity. I must confess effect, for it moved me much.
Disown it not, thou art the better for it. The truest mercy is unmerited. Disdain thy meal with expectations of dessert, and thou go hungry. Trust it not. The carriage of deserving sometime turned on fortune's wheel, but in an accident of grace, the axle snapped. Collision dashed to ruination that proud car. The full declension of deserving cannot spell one syllable of worth. What say you then to this, my boy?
Who turns his chariot on fortune's wheel will travel rough.
How learnt you this on foot?
Why, sir, by much exercise of my soul.
Go to, thou art a fool. But how this news does sicken and make weak my certainty. Dost know what captain died? Belike he was a friend. What was his name?
His was a part without a name to me, but well I know who did him injury, if thou shouldst hear.
The ignorant humor of the world sees the parodies more famous than the prime. Come, tell me their names so I can curse them.
My lord, there's more I can relate than this in remedy. While speeding hence, I passed an embassy made leaden by the weight of desperate gold. On orders of Marthanes, they bring a ransom more reflective of his love than that man's worth, but one no less a ransom Midas could not well refuse. I left these sweating oars upon the road, which when they reach shall be absolved of base and wasteful rocky obstinance.
Our tears do oft in passion's furnace melt, and drop from crystal ores like gold from friendship's purse. So take you this in thanks.
Beshrew me, no, lest thine trouble I die a poor death.
Thou art too smart for a soldier.
Not so. We soldiers ever suffer smarts beyond our generals. But the blind still blink, in faith, and so I serve.
And so you do deserve, if to deserve were not disservice here.
My gratitude's thy pay. Live on it how thou wilt. Ahead under the queen, and full relate this ornate pilgrimage to her, that she may more considerate consent. These ills shall find their cure in their own end, as scorpions by their own venom mend. If she would rather make of him a saint, his bones are better worshipped than his paint.
Beseech me not. The repetitious plaint oft proves more cloying than the cause of it. Dost thou think I'll heed the echo who denied the voice? Believes thou beg what could not buy? Such foolish business.
Charity it is, not business if I beg.
Then business have I none with thou, nor business is it of thine my reasoning. I will not ransom him.
Oh, cold. You kill to say so. Cold as death. And yet not so, for even death himself Eurydice delivered for a tomb.
His snores are more affecting than thy songs.
But you impartially reject this sum.
In whole and not in part I counter it.
The sum.
Only some, and so I'll none. I pray thee, leave this habit.
Will you none of it as well? Your graves are made on the same measurements your gowns are. Yours will be most tight. How shall I pay them then, and quell this mutiny which treason's but a pastime to, in a career of horror? How?
What need I fear their wrath? They will not harm a woman and a boy, fierce innocents.
Think'st mercy will preserve your son and thee, for thou art a woman and a boy? Oh no, they have this month alone more youths and women massacred than Herod's pride, more infants swilled than whores in unwed lust. Yourself resigned the shelter you would seek, accustoming the murder of the meek.
They dare not tilt their sharp intentions gainst my crown. 'Tis not a ring so rudely won, and fear may spare more lives than mercy does.
Rebellion never made partition in its waywardness betwixt degrees.
Not so, for many are who'll dance before a priest that tremble neath the countenance of God.
This is your folly, that you build your health on prior illness, thinking that, if sick with plague, thou canst not catch a cough.
I see that rather once the plague's been suffered and survived, 'tis sterile and hazardless.
'Tis ill to catch the plague for wellness' sake.
My royal lady, for what reason shall I offer this denial to Marthanes?
What reason? Why, for that she's mad, and thus no reason has, except that love and fond accord has warped her rule to measure by desire, against the which our circles straight. So let you write your innocence in snow. That uncontested purity, thus gained, is melted with the briefest touch and drained.
Go to thy lord. Deliver this refute with all the gentleness necessity allows.
He will be strongly grieved.
The more protection for him then, so make you haste. He saw no flaw in this affection when was his, or like to be. The saying's true. Sugar on another's tongue, not sweet. So wish ourselves 2 mouths, or else 1 teat.
Oh, that my heart would be as stiff as are my knees, that I could bear this valiantly. But as it is, my sorrow shakes it so against my ribs that they would crack into 1,000 flaws, which some may women call refused. My daughter's dower not half so rich, nor would have been turned so prompt on her expiry.
Indeed, my lord, such dower could have sold a barren wife.
The fault may in such rich abundance lie. 'Tis hard to drink from the waterfalls as drought. Should I have offered less and chanced offense? I've heard some careful vendors take not more than they themselves their value ascertained. For 2 matches lights no brighter candle, that often burns the hand and suffocates with double smoke the single flame once lit. Oh, that defeat entire had been ours, nor hope allowed, which is more painfully endured than sure despair, which has the strength of certainty.
She means your conduct to insure upon his life. That's most certain.
He is insured in heaven twice 10 times his earthly worth. She knows not this? I dare not make a private frown, lest she should know of it to his dismay.
My lord, your fear does render her omnipotent, more than her threats. It shows a feeble and an unexamined mind to think that God or any man can peer into our thoughts, intentions, acts, our inner heart, of which we can no perfect survey take ourselves. In truth, we keep more secrets from ourselves than from our enemies. But I believe, from strict examination of our bold ambassador, thou hast but little cause to fear his injury upon her part, unless to bar aggression for his sake.
Such miracles have fled. I say she lies.
Correct, mine honoured lord. Thou seest it now, and while she lives with him, she doth belie her force to curb you with harsh threats upon his life. which she no sooner would arrest on penalty than thou in forfeiture.
What surety can thou afford in this?
Why, none. For any who insurance takes on love will soon be broke, both heart and bank. But thou dost never hesitate his life, to hazard to the chance and accident of war, that fatal promise freely made. But this is shame, to fear to burn i' the hearth what thou hast fired i' the kiln. The furnace makes us proof against the fire, and so is he.
Yet many sailors have drowned in their bath that have survived the sea. No safety's in it.
Who's given milk to boys will not draw blood from men. 'Tis reason why our antique troop consisted all of bachelors alone, who had no touch of tenderness imbibed from love of wives or children to confine their bloody work. Affection limiting effect. This evidence is legion gainst thy gentle doubts, which fear where they're most fond.
Here's much that makes consideration shy. Indeed, I've seen our forces' wives attend on enemies in hospital and hear the wretch who had just before broke her heart with husband's death. I needle no fear who's braved the sword, nor take her threads for threats. These tears I've shed my purpose only wets.
So promise nothing more, unless like land are sown that purpose most delivers not. These thick confessions make me think this love a sin, that thou must hourly disclose it from thyself. Besides, if such is true, one needs no plough in Eden where the fruit falls free, lest thou profess beyond practice.
Oh, Theodora, take profession thus as proof that I've loved thee past the term of 7 years' apprenticeship in youth.
So now thou art a journeyman, and will to many countries travel on.
I tripped and fell in love with thee alone, lady.
What trust is there in this, when yesterday thou to thy mother made dismissal of enormity of love? Thou canst not well disclose me, love, when strict enclosure thou hast pitched around the common passions thus.
Ah, these words do graze my heart.
Ain't sustenance for them where sheep do graze. That shepherd good inspires love unalterable still.
Then we're his disciples, unaltered as we are. But think upon that primal lord and industry divine which Eden did enclose, and made the primal dam betwixt his love and us, which at its full had no partitions of grace.
No fence do I fear, but only that offense thy mother takes upon my father's ground, which well she may extend round me in post.
I know it well. Anticipation, whether good or ill, does squander present pleasures in its care. And 'tis an expectation of such clash, wherein perforce I might adopt a chill and distant estimation of thyself, that first I seek to remedy before the hurt, and bank conviction against thy tears. Fear not if my affections quickly turn like mattresses of priests, for they do hope to preserve a body warm with a cold bed.
Oh, cease, or I shall worry I delight in loving thee more than I love. What's that? My father and my brother furious.
Come, daughter, I must take my leave of thee.
And wherefore must you so?
We must to war.
The youthful peace?
Pieces broke.
Oh, hell.
This amity was nature's brief aside in man's performance of a tragedy unwatched, whose actors are its audience.
Marthanes has breached the contract mutual, demanding vivid answering from us. As half misfortunes in avoiding it, the ill more ill for opposition of, I have acceptance made, though much I mourn.
I saw the drafting of these terms, and first mistook them the commandments, for each clause with clemency was blunted, and the rest so general every man could satisfy. Such forms could not be cracked by accident.
Nor were not, sister dear. But when they learnt our hostage kept the auspices of love, which, though it hurts, is never dangerous, nor pressures past the pinch of pleasure paused, our leverage was aborted for its birth. Though formed, unfunctional, as curses of the mute, a fight with scabbards and not swords. Mistake me not, I'd kill him if her love had rendered him not more irrelevant. So must we be the torturers of stones, for they are free, who fear no penalty. Oh, know you not how I do crave the wars, This anger does but fill, the more it pours.
Thou goes too far. And if from youth I was not patient with thy temper's tides, which has ever governed by thy waxing eye, which blinks from full to new, I would thee fling to traitorous abuse.
I am eclipsed. The sun does dim and black obscurity enforce.
If thou have found her rough, 'tis but to run thy palm o'er velvet backwards. Would thou so imperil us, imperial?
And why not so? You first wore robes of hue imperial as purple bruises I did dress you in when we were boys. I well that honor could bestow again, and shall.
Oh, good, my brother, thou would make of me a second Juliet to force me choose between my king and kin. If thou must fight, there's war enough abroad that begs no friends. He is no enemy.
His loss it is, for often there is more offense between friends than enemies, whose hate arouses yet a cruel courtesy, reserving alone the greatest injury to give, while love does intimately chafe familiar pains. So beg forgiveness straight.
I must needs beg, and know that I a free entreaty make, for we lack salary to charge and hire.
'Tis higher quality thus free, and so I'll cherish it. My pardon's thine. But stand thou truly in such mean estate?
The ransom of Nicephorus should soon supply that count, if ever it were had. But, lacking that, we suffer discontent and proud revolt among our camp.
Dost thou expect they'll to the fight unfed?
I'll put no force to them, but fallow fields make good battleground. Some will follow me.
There's nobleness in thee. Let fortune sleep and wake thy own success, which dreamed till now.
And there were nobles in me, I'd no need of fortune's loan. My thanks, you gallant prince. Farewell, my dearest love.
So keep thee safe.
I can't afford to keep, so shall return.
And thou, my brother, though the longest thou have tarried in one place was in the womb, I never cease thy violent pilgrimage to fear, nor wish thou gave thy calendars of absence shorter weeks.
But only think how usual shall seem my someday death for these sad practices thou oft rehearse.
A cruel comfort.
A crucial one.
Go, go, the pain of parting makes the absence less. So get thee gone, and God thy perils bless.
I will await no more, for time is brief, and evermore foreshortened is by grief.
With each escape thou further proves thy worth, and thus my love, which to the restive horse, who in his fervor to be free will leap and clear an ever higher fence, is the more desired to be kept for this display of talent.
Never do expect I'll be content.
Such content were contempt.
Why do you hold me next against thy breast, that is an instrument adverse to peace and sore inflictions passed on to you and yours?
The wound's not fatal while the weapon's in it, but once removed, it bleeds with mortal pace.
Thou could the service of more soldiers buy, with what was offered but for one.
Thyself discovered in me the vice in service, which I scorn to spell.
Thou art so charming, there's small need of spells. I will not swear I love.
It would profane the sacred certainty.
I'll not.
The knot is tighter for that knot. Knotted ropes the same length one untied, and such is love.
I wear no laurel leaves.
And so thou won the palm, from where thou take no leave. Mine hourglass is with sugar filled, for time with thee is sweet and quickly spent. Thou must away, I have much to attend. This is a love must be enjoyed alone.
That something stills its course.
But still, it is. 'Tis true, its force has hindrance innate, but greatest ships bear anchors heaviest. Take this.
I'll string my rosary upon thy hair, and number time apart with every prayer.
I will not pause to register his deeds as great men at their zenith. Like the sun, no shadows need to evidence their acts, for surely their effects are felt. But that he is himself, it is enough, both lord and steward of his just estate. The man who first surrenders sovereignty of self is yet a poorer servant than he was. The dappled falcon that hunts not for its own hunger, never for your hobby flies. Hood, tie, and bait, its wings must be its own. So man's excessive love does challenge God. When God created women, 'twas a rib he stole, but man would give her too his heart. If God had wished a woman man's whole heart, he would have stolen that upon the start. How foolish then was I to love a man, for that he loveth me, so prose would scan. I like him much. Oh, that's a ready word. This loving emulation proves it so. His smile draws in me a simile. His semblance fair does trace resemblance good. This sweet affection I would soon affect to imitate where I am intimate, and ever would be near him. That is all. But, oh, does not this fierce conspiracy of passion in my heart negate and mock that virtuous reflection which to have compels his swift return and loss? Oh, how? To show that honor I adore him for, I must relinquish him whom I adore. So his are verses I would ken by heart, for comfort of repeating when apart. My torches then are lit on mine own pyre, some prophecy by smoke, and some by fire. Unless they may be drowned in misty tears. How now, my girl? Our griefs thus polished with our tears shine brighter than before. So sad? This sorrow sure must be Leviathan that needs such a brackish flood to cover it. Methinks that Niobe ne'er wept it so. Thou hast no children lost.
But now have thou, or one that would have been a daughter soon, but now no more.
I hope this cloudiness comes not from absence of my son.
I weep that these my tears may form a glass, wherein I'll make an inventory of beauty, where I'll see what has been pinched, for sure 'tis gone.
I know not what he did, and though he is my son, I know enough. But all's not lost. A note misplayed does not untune the string. We can forgive more than they offend.
O lady, it is bootless to forgive him. Now our happy sin is thus foregone.
Here's wine. Let Dionysus comfort when forgetful Theseus dismays. Be calm. O rash and wretched boy, what hast thou done?
What you could not,
Could not.
would not, if it please. For you I am most sorry.
'Tis unfit the murderer to write the elegy.
'Tis most fit, if repentance move him to.
Where learned thou this? Thou never witnessed I to so forsake.
So for your sake must I. Let summer with an open golden palm still bless you, but know that autumn is a blunt interpreter. A harvest must be made, it is not paradise.
That well I know, for thou wast born in pain.
And live so, too. Give ear to explanation.
I did give thee ears, and eyes, and tongue.
That with a hate informed you may proceed, or praise, whiche'er.
The greatest diagnosis is the cure, and revelation best is swift redress. To justify is but to rectify.
Your heated anger does not him dissuade, but rather like the furnace kiln does fix the pattern on the pot in permanence.
The greater part of woe is not to know. Explain, make clear, and calculate thy wrongs.
I calculated no more than the fee right owing to our neglected force, which thou refused to pay, which full amount is by a dowry gained of young Irene, that is, daughter to the Duke. This union fixed will settle hot revolt and mutiny, or else we are in debt ere we be dead.
A bribe! Thou hast mistaken for a bride.
Good madam, think upon that doubtful chance. That Petrus's discontent may not discount his soldiers' loyalty, but buy them free. What heights he may not reach, I dread to think.
So ceilingless ambition boils dry and burns itself.
Oh, let it not be so.
Thou needst not have disturbed thyself for this. Thou agitates to butter milk concerns, which in their ease were taken on a sip.
My fault is better than my country's fall. O Theodora, sieve of my stiff soul, thy native grace prevents me pardon ask. Know that I must persist, though penitent.
Lord, duty and desire oft are twins, and oft is one mistaken for the other. So angels have worn armor. Let me weep.
I will not stay, but to this course I'll keep.
So dearly is our golden pleasure spent, when keeping it we have enjoyment lent. I am the cause. These tears are due to me. Yet now I am ashamed that mine own son, his spirit could o'ermaster so to work all sorrow's errands, while myself showed like a lackless Cleopatra lapped of silk. But yesterday he clung unto my thigh, like squalling Dionysus graft to Zeus. I could not any cakes leave in his reach, nor from his tender hand a loved god wrest, for tighter than the scepter held it he. Nor knew this fresh fool any need for sleep, but ever were his joys, his almanac, unmarked for prideful rationing of mirth. Belike it was an idle passion, that so casually dismissed. But if 'twas not, what feeble babe am I that cannot choose? So I must keep my fox beneath my shirt, for pain at worst's impervious to hurt.
I've disturbed your leisure, Your Majesty.
Thou hast disturbed more air than thou can know.
My father sent me with these privileges of marriage to confirm our unity. Here's golden solids and fate of more to come upon the wedding day, Your Grace.
What face is this? Look on me, girl. Are these my eyes? Have I a chin as this? Answer.
Your beauty far exceeds these replicas, Your Majesty.
My beauty. Roots for that. This face is Constantine's. These forgeries I cannot well accept. My truer coins shall have no losing side. Each face is mine. Return these to Corpus.
Father, stop.
Irene, forgive the girl. She meant no harm. Let's sit among the gardens and I'll trace a better likeness.
That yet pleases us? I shall adorn my robes, so find me hence.
Although my image strikes these coins, I'd ne'er strike thee. Art hurt?
No more than aught, Your Grace.
I'll take these coins unto the Empress, that may be best received from dearer hands. So as Irene's distract, fetch up these coins and send them to your general. Quickly, count.
I cannot see, sir, why you aid them thus.
All men are enemies in hunger, sir. If paid, the less they'll crack my cities for their sustenance.
Thou art an honest man.
I must now lose thy good opinion straight, but even now I lied.
I'll not believe it.
This artist boasts I made, I cannot keep. I'll draw my sword, or bow, but never had depiction in my hands.
It's all? If thou should want, myself can teach the principles, enough to imitate. I have no proper genius, only skill, but shall supply.
Success shall be my thanks. Say, can you fence?
Sir, in a post can fence.
So woodenly.
A very quintain, true.
That I should have make of violence both my pay and recreation speaks of me ill. Yet 'tis. I'll tutor you in guard, attack, and tit, if you shall honor me.
The honor shall be thine in victory, methinks.
You should insult my tutelage to say so, sir. You'll prove a swordsman yet, I promise you.
Very well. Hence, hence. I'll fashion thee with chalk, which mastered, thy work nature cannot mock. Pray, good Harina, get thee home.
Wilt come?
Some other time. I'll send thy father word.
Methinks thou'lt marry him instead of me, if thus thy story runs. Yet, still methinks thee richer than thy golden portraiture. Each toss I lose, I win to see thy face. Oh, would that I could flip thy glance so quick.
Surrender. Every man is swifter than Achilles in retreat. But thou art old Patroclus. Know thy fate and yield to me.
So yielding I will crop thy harvest green,
Why strike thee not again?
and wound the dead. One cut's enough.
Thy doom's immediate. Speak not. Preserve thy breath. The camp is close.
Not to camp. Let wolves devour me. So soon. I thought to live.
Thou yet are well.
My blood to scald.
'Tis less than women lose each every moon. Thou shalt not die from such.
Mine armor chafes. Pray, put my beaver up. I cannot see. What trumpets call? List, list.
Thou wast the proof of life, which marked the world its own. Now forgeries abound by hands illiterate of joy. My son, my son. Did Priam's 50 sons die 50 deaths the like? I know not how he mourned so much. What father was it swaddled thee in steel? Now thou art still, as barren Delos was for fair Apollo's birth. And thou shalt have his paean sung for thee. We must away. The lost sun sinks eternal night for day.
Pray, pardon me, does know where Constantine has taken rest? He might desire his cloak.
Art thou the newest maid? Come, 'tis not his. This is Nicephorus's. 'Tis longer, see?
I might apologize, yet know not how. I'm sorry if I should have caused ado.
Ado? 'Tis but a cloak. Besides, thou know'st the prince not well, nor have no knowledge of his customs nor his preferences. Here's this.
I am Irene, lady.
So thou art. I'll take this to Nicephorus anon. Good day. I saw Nicephorus this letter take, who then perceiving me, concealed it straight as would not have it known, and guilty like he made excuse and left, nor would not grant mine eye an edge of his. He restless is, and while he fenced with Constantine, they shed their heavy cloaks in sweaty exercise, and from its folds I now this paper steal. I fear it is a lover's note that mars the amorous harmony. Soft, she comes. I'll hide me here and think on what's to do.
I made my will today, and as I did, methought 'twas sad that many do their will not exercise until their deaths, and then but in renunciation of their life. How easy was it to resign the joys particular to life in face of death? With what proud, bold indifference cast them off? How comes it then I shift to do the same while that I live? This is most weak, like plants that fresh may be enjoyed, but poison dried. May I not be mine own executor? To dearest servitude I'll own no fee. The cheaper life is nearest to be free. Why, wherefore dost thou steal into our sight?
Upon my heart, I need not steal what's free. I come on sorrow's errand, which my love does tremble to perform, but which I trust shall seek the kindest of deliveries.
O proud hypocrisy! How dare ye speak what ye have late descried? Ye proffer love, but in that love ye lie.
Why, lady good, I lie but where I love, so am I true?
Such censorship deep reason needs, for it will sink in shallow judgment's narrow port.
I censure, but where I am sure, no less. Observe this scripture that was pocketed in secrecy, provoking guilty looks and an evasive shame.
'Tis not of note.
An essay, then.
One best were not essayed. 'Tis but a letter, love.
Then let her read.
I pray you leave. There's injury therein.
Then out it will. Come, girl, for I will be example how thou should endure such wrongs. Not pangs to suffer in extremity. His muse will but amuse and gladden me.
Thou dost amend Medea in all things.
Do thou read, lest my laughter prevent.
Success in battle, Petrus beat, his son Aurelius struck to the death. Oh, to the death?
Aye, madam, he is dead. But I'd not have you know of it this way.
Can torture e'er be ministered with grace? My brother's dead. 'Tis a grievous patronage to sweeten it.
His death but punctuates a bloody sentence. Losing so his son, he should at least have balanced victory.
Myself in care, they make presumption safe. Their hands have been unhobbled from their hearts, expecting neither punishment nor prize. Abolish hope and fear to dare complete. Call back the ransom.
Do not so, my love, late lost in service of thy own, I but withstood by comfort of thy own true joy. This same was partly reason for my rash and desperate witness of supposed betrayal. It is much more to justify ere now.
Betimes we will consider. Now 'tis past. The primal errors damning as the last.
Where is this witch? She's much to answer for.
But not to you.
Why not to me? How comes it that she should refuse to meet with me, who followed none but her?
And so went lost.
I am her Buckingham.
Go to, make not of her your Richard.
I cannot, she is not rich enough.
What noise cries out? Oh, you. Remove thee from my sight, I'll see thee not.
Thou cannot choose, for thou hast still a bright and joyous son, while I have lost me too. Was not one lost enough? You set him on.
Not I, whose firm rebukes the greater as he is my blood.
He's wise and learnt the pay of loyalty.
The doing was your own.
To every god his Abraham must have.
Was I a god to have an Abraham?
And so much less so now, unmerciful.
Remove him hence.
I will not. Pardon me, my lord, my trespass was to succor your sore need. I'm much dismayed that I must so divorce me from your kind affections, to effect mine own towards yourself. I will deliver all the moneys owed unto you, to your troops, upon my nuptial. 'Tis soon you've lost a son, but benefactor gained. That you may mind me, though I be not yours.
Thou shalt do no such thing. I banish him. He is a traitor, and his troops rebel.
If they are paid, we shall avert revolt.
Such salary is alms and royal proof to civil insurrection. Silver paid will be returned as steel by that most mean and bloodiest exchequer.
Pray, revoke that doom of banishment.
I'll serve no more. My son is dead, because that thou must love. If now you hate your son, then God's above.
If thou wilt not away, I will myself. This changeling I return unto its elf.
I must unto my bride. Aurelius would like have borne this ill. I miss him for it.
He is too wide a target to be missed. I hit upon him with my every thought.
Good hearts be with you both.
And so with you. Now, daughter, counsel me not to be calm. How can I, when this mortgaged queen, caroused in bitter celebration, hearing of thy brother's death? Some say she prayed o' nights for his swift end.
She did not so.
I've heard it testified by one of neutral heart.
There's no such one.
'Twas witnessed.
Witless like? There's none could tell thou so. I was at hand. She wept, and made regrets.
Thou cannot know.
And if not I, who else? I am alone her company, her sole society.
Alone, thou word, which I shall now collect. Such private knowledge does beget not proof. There may be many say the same.
Seek proof? There's none but I have liberal access there, to come and go through sleep like a breath unbid, with nature's privileges. I know she lost a babe, none other knew she carried yet. The dye's not closer to the cloth than I to her.
Then as she needs must die, there's none but thou can close with her.
Thou mean not so.
I do. Prepare thy tender heart to feel how much I mean it, if I must convince.
I am her friend.
Thou art my daughter first.
I'll not betray her.
Thou already has, in proud display of this same friendship here. Then as thou art no friend, thou owes no grace. This dagger's yours. It was Aurelius's. But keep it hidden close.
Aye, in my heart.
Thou wished, when thou were young, I'd teach thee blades, and envied thy dear brother's freer skill. This is thy wish, that mortal tutelage. Adieu. Thy brother's memory is thou.
A wretched father that does wish his hurts upon his children, since he suffered them. My love may be to you, but not my hand. For where there's love, can never come command.
He, thick with grief, laments that I should feel his heavy circumstance, maintains these cruel proceedings follow from our separate cause, which, if were mutual, to understand would be to remedy his injury as 'twere mine own. He wishes me to know, and so I shall. And in accordance with his wish, this maiden kill, who'd finance mine own funeral, to lapse compassionate. If she be wealthy as my son insists, her riches well will cover Charon's fee. What's this? Talon shed from danger's fist. Has no kinship to our armory, 'twill not be thought as ours. I must be wise, for carelessness spills empty cups anon. Therefore be careful, though not full of care. What's breath to one is to another air.
I pray thee, go before Irene fetch, that ceremony swell this scanty match.
I go, with piteous respect for you.
I've melted down my golden love to coin. That sculpted sunlight, candle of the gods, that cannot buy the glory it once was. To love her, it was freely natural, for she was nature's dedication, true. Enough. Resent no more necessity. We often prize a love more that must be wooed. How much more excitement shall I gain that firstly I must entice and woo myself? Yet still I wish that this Irene, who I know has long affected me, and whose suspicious ecstasy at longing gained makes me to scorn and pity her at once, could be a wife without the length of life, but this same life I mourn for marriage loath. Aurelius surrendered joyously to that most fatal martial nuptial. It's not death I face. And yet, how strange it is that our enjoyment of supreme delight should make incapable and slack our satisfaction of some lesser good. And as if the lark would deaf us to the dove, it must not be. Our happiness achieved should overflow and brighten muddy moods, that having once this scope experienced, our blissful faculty should find again some measure of itself in all it sees, and joy a little, having joyed a length. That sweetness swallowed helps us sugar taste, as greatest love has smaller love embraced. And not as such, she's dead?
By her own hand.
By my thought. I wish but even now to avoid this, or that some accident prevent accomplishment. Would she had lived had I not sought excuse.
My lord, she has been dead so many hours since. She's cold. She died before your thoughts. Take that relief.
And so I do, and therein stands my guilt. Relief and disappointment intermixed. I cannot tell for which these tears now fall.
This is no blame of yours. Your heart is clear.
'Tis pardon sans forgiveness. Such it is the dreaded test, excuse then begs attempt. Exemption makes all burdens bearable. I might have loved her. Who has done the deed?
Herself, my lord.
Nay, it cannot be so.
The knife was in her hand.
I know this knife. It was Aurelius. Yet Petrus had it in his belt when he was here but late. I saw when he with Theodora spoke.
You do not think.
It's impossible.
All evils jealousy makes possible.
I'll not believe it if 'twas proved.
Your thoughts could no more kill than they can make the guilty innocent. 'Tis past their might.
My lord, your mother sends by heaven's light.
She sends not so without her messenger. Detain her, guards!
What mean you by this hurt?
Why, nothing meaner than what thou hast done.
Should she be guilty, then our angel's false.
'Tis thou art false. How late I've wished that you should hold me once again, but loathe it now.
Her perturbation dooms.
Oh help! Oh help! Release her!
Majesty, there's murder done.
But not by her. She's innocent. I know.
How can you know?
That I slept ill last night and envied her eased slumber by the door. She never stirred. As I do know myself, she's innocent.
Her brother's dagger made this girl its sheath, which last was seen upon her father's belt, all rash with choler fierce. She has been much distressed, and in such a state, what might she not be tempted to perform upon convenience violent?
I would kill my son, myself, nor thou, nor sooner she. When thou believe me capable, charge her.
I know thou art unable. Let her go.
I barely saw this lady but till now. Indeed, avoided her, lest I should learn a language of comparatives in which to scorn myself. I did not murder her.
How came this dagger? Bragging with your arms, if not by these your fair hands.
If your minds were fair as are my hands, you'd not accuse me so unjustly. Mark, and I'll acquit myself of this by full confession of a fouler crime, intended, not performed, that innocence be proved admitting guilt. My father gave my brother's knife to me with sharp decree to kill my mistress straight, as I had violent opportunity through means familiar and a fatal trust.
Why did thou pause?
My lady?
Should I now be dead?
Some hours hence, little chance I'd had if thou did awake a night. In faith, my mind resolved against destruction. I had peace.
And so would I, if thou hadst done thy part. Why did thou not?
For that I love thee true.
A lie. If thou lovest me, thou'd have sent my soul to heaven. Now it is too late.
I could not.
Oh, if you could not, you would have tied him to you tighter.
As yourself? Nay, what I'll not have free, I'll not have forced.
This was not free. Its cost was all our peace. And that unbought by gold must we by steel. Prepare your swords, though we're at fault we'll fight. I'd sooner jump than fall from such a height.
Her father will demand redress for this. What soldiers that remain are his in heart, and he will make a universal court for bloody litigation of his griefs. His high ambitions to a full command resented Petrus, and will seize upon his daughter as the nearest cause of this, where evidence agrees with his belief. She must be tried, if we're to have his will, that justice, if not truth, may cure this ill.
My pension of grace I am now denied, who lived on vile salary of sins higher. I will not burn, but harden in hell's fire.
It cannot be. Does he intend all this?
He is more wax than wick. I mark him not. He seems not sure.
Mistrust not his resolve, for like the thrown knife his handle wavers, although the point be stuck.
'Tis danger then.
Yet still I'd speak with him and hear myself. Bring Petrus here before us, we'll attend. What means your presence in our hostile camp? You ne'er obtained these precincts, but intent on harm and executing dreadful deeds. Thou used a cruel efficiency against us, and all our captain captured, and this scar delivered last we met as proof.
Then know you of my worth and competence. This condemnation is appreciative, and would, methinks, as blazon burst in praise if your employment 'twas. So let it be.
Where is your rampant son? Have I his use?
You had, my lord, full use of him.
Had I?
Is't possible you should forget your one and single claim to glory in the world?
'Tis possible you should forget it then, that comes in service to his butcher thus. How should I sleep when vengeance makes the bed? The wolf is safer, for he threatens, but by nature's grudge, his species' common jaw, not tooth particular for this my flesh, which other feeding may well satisfy. Revenge is sated not with substitute.
I do not seek revenge.
Thou art the more unnatural. If for thy son thy care is so discreet, where it should be most loud, most clumsy, and most eager in pursuit, however shall I your allegiance trust, who has no kinship tendering to it? Am I indeed thy certain enemy?
I do not seek revenge, nor justice, nor for any retribution savoring a moral hierarchy. I seek chaos. Yourself I hold not to account, but as the accidental means and instrument, unworthy of hot blame. I offer all my fierce, resentful force against Irene, that we, confederate in chaos, may fast hurl her to a crooked, confused grave. I must forgive thee, thou not guilty art. If I do not so, I'll forgive myself. If thou art guilty, how much more am I? I make thee free of it.
'Twere a vicious shame thou should not be as free within my camp as I within thy heart. Give him a tent. 'Tis rare we may repair where we repent.
There came demands today. 'Tis not Marthanes, but Petrus issues this. There's malice in it. My death alone will satisfy. Well then. I never thought this contested flesh should pass so many wars, contentious breaths, destruction dodged in every fatal blade, and clear a world of fervent enemies, to die by mine own hand. 'Tis even so some grim enjoyment that it should be. I have supplied for these embroideries upon the hem of time, now taken up. Good Theodora, I am certain innocent, but fearing against a secret of revenge, besought her safety in a formal charge. That open accusation closed the way of private knives. Domestic justice blunt. The prince knows this. His own guards watch her cell. I had done more, but fate has slipped its lead and followed me to home. It must be fed. So life's little prayer said before bed.
Nicephorus, let Theodora free. Where is thy heart?
This blade shall answer that.
Do not! Oh, thou art mad! Wouldst kill thyself?
I will, and presently.
Why would thou so?
So thou would not.
Would not?
I would not have thee guilty of my blood. It needs be done. For children, oft demanding of a sweet, if yielded to, learn not to test their strength, but surfeited with desire, sleep.
To wake again, as thou shalt never do.
I love thee.
Thou dost not, nor sensible art of my love for thee.
Indeed, I know.
Oh, how then? Tell, how much do I love thee?
Too much to strike this blow which I maintain. I know thou never couldst perform this deed, so that must I.
Could never?
Ay, my love, it is a weakness that commends thee yet.
Too weak? Unable? Thou knows me not. Could never. There's a girl would disagree were she not dead.
You mean not what I think.
Then think me meaner.
Nay, I cannot so.
I slew Irene, by this hand I did. Dost doubt?
No more on thee.
I'll make thee sure.
I'll kill thee not. The devil needs no wife, nor need I damn myself to end thy life.
I hunt no more the green hill of my youth. The horns are dumb, and my poor horse is dead. Mine own skin chafes, and this, my rigid heart, annoys my breast like stone within a shoe, which nor can be dislodged nor fixed in place, but cripples across the all too tender soul. My life, when freshly poured, did bubble o'er, but now settled, as the empty foam dissolves, shows not so full, an expectation dry. Yet 'tis enough for poison to be mixed. No mending's needed where the course is fixed. But there's small need for poison in this drought. When I do die, I'll choke on mine own throat.
This way. 'Tis near. The gate is small and hid.
Yours to heaven be wider for it. This deed deserves more thanks than I can give. I will requite thee.
Thou already hast. The unrewarded virtue sooner blessed. Thou helpest me to heaven in every way, which thanks is more to you than I can pay.
And now I'm glad I never had a son that should repent him in comparison. Give Theodora comfort, guard thyself. Those strikes I showed you, pray remember them. I fear you'll have need of them anon.
I think so, but I fear it not. Why, come. I'll practice all to dazzle you in time. If we e'er meet again, we'll have a match. That wounded honor we with friendship patch.
Miss thee yet.
Then remedy your aim, for I am here. You'll surely lose as such.
But one word more. 'Tis now that I must speak on what I regret. The queen, your mother.
The watch has come. Preserve thyself and fly. Stay not. 'Tis greater ignorance to die.
I have confessed and wait but on my death. Corippus, our sole loyal general, and Irena's father, will not fight unless I am dispatched. What else was I to do? That in preserving innocent one death, I should be guilty of a multitude? And so among them Constantine, Irene, my dearest friends, and a heart entire lost? Though not yet sick, my house has caught the plague. I'll lock me in, not spread the ill and vague.
Come, lead her to her death. That precious life you stole shall not help lengthen yours a day.
Let the girl go. She waits her trial yet. How dare you parry justice with your rage?
It matters not what sword the guilty kill. A mind's as sharp as hers. She has confessed.
So I am told by these her guards, yet they withhold the tortures used to force her tongue.
There was no torture used but mine own guilt, which racked my soul more than his hands could e'er my body break.
I came to ease my guards when she confessed, and thought 'twas strange. She did as freely and with straining eagerness as schoolboys sure their answers shout. My sense, if not belief, are witness.
Account her guilty then, but of deceit. She's innocent.
She's guilty and shall die.
She shall not so.
By this or that she shall, for I'll not fight. My idle soldiers shall their beds and kitchens keep, their blades shall rust, and she and all shall die without defense.
Oh, let me die and lose our hostage gainst your father's wars. To kill her now is to lose all hope of peace, entreat destruction rather.
This plea is bootless, and you lie apace.
I cannot go so quickly on bare feet.
Would Petrus e'er believe your vacant threats, while marching with Nicephorus now free? Nay, lady, he would laugh and draw his sword. If natural were to believe gainst proof, all men were Christians born or soon convert. But he has senses, as do other men, and reason well enough to doubt your truth.
Am I a queen?
Are you a mother? For if thy son were slain, wouldst thou not weep? Look you tender on him now that would, if he were harmed, not seek just recompense. My child is gone. If you love yours, then yield.
I do. 'Twas why I killed your daughter so.
Oh, God, forgive us.
Let him. I do not. For hell's not hard enough for thee, for thou wouldst joy in torments. Truly, thou art damned. I need not fight for thee, who is so skilled with the agility of death. Go to.
My time has come upon, mother. Adieu.
But I will kill one soul yet. 'Tis you.
Fly, lest he circle back.
Where's Constantine?
My honored majesty, your son, the prince, with boldness of despair, has offered single combat against himself to any soldier of the enemy.
This law makes no exception in this way.
That cares beside the point.
My son's before it, which mortal aim he faces naked, lone.
Make haste, the host has taken to the field.
This greater grief does trifle with less woe. That man is doomed whom fortune makes his foe.
What parley do you bring?
Surrender, is't?
Not so, my lord.
'Twere best to say not yet.
So hold your peace if you should hear him speak.
I do, and lose my war. They have no men.
The prince is one, and stands himself without to meet alone the one of you that dares, with this agreement, that if he should win, you register his victory complete, and without further bloodshed, quit thy arms.
The prince, young Constantine, he offers this?
Indeed, as well as word. Your answer, sir.
We do accept.
Except if thou would fight.
My lord, I do respect you.
How is that? There are diseases that a man may breed which show no sickness in activity, but where respect, nor love, nor duty shows, it is not there existing, but in act. Thou canst have respect that does not show.
But this is mine.
That rumor have I heard, and counsels against participation thine. If he were yours, your sword would be more blunt.
Let me, my lord. I'm guilty not his blood.
Nicephorus, how now? Why say you so late returned and quickly lost again?
You let him seek my death for settlement, but bar me now in seeking it myself.
That was a fault. A grievous fault, I know.
He disobeyed thee, lost thy city so.
Thus gaining heaven's kingdom for my soul. Is this disloyalty? He never did me better service than securing it. Nicephorus, will thou this undertake?
It undertakes me, else, my lord.
Oh, feeble comprehension does not hear. He will not kill the boy.
He vanquished thee. Art thou less valiant than a fawn like this?
He fawns on Constantine, so dear to him.
Indeed, he is my heart, and hunted so.
Go to, this boy prevented civil war, yet you, through yoked in unity dispute. Part friends, be not so ill-disposed against.
So ill-disposed? I'm dispossessed, my lord.
You would do wrong, so you have no right to it.
Thou wert more courteous when we were foes. if thou would shake my purpose, shake my hand, it does thee less offense.
I take it then.
A fine reply.
A duty, sir, charged so.
Time that runs, a man may walk. My fate is near enough, and I will near be late.
There is no halting here. We must fly on.
I should further fly, this window's wide. Unless it be from thence, I'll go no more. But, oh, this casement overlooks the field where comes my son. But who is that he fights?
Oh, by my life, it is Nicephorus.
Oh, by his death it had not thus been so.
Alack, I cannot look. My heart is cracked, for I should lose no matter who should win. I know not where to grieve and where to hope.
To hope for both is same as hope for none. The same ill ending flattens preference. This blank perplexity belittles sense, that with indifferent fascination watch what most should be preoccupied withal. My surgeon, grief, has numbed my mortal flesh, that his incisions I may watch. Sans pain, yet where that I should scream if I should feel. So the enthusiastic hurt thus dim. My life has not the senses of a limb.
Thou promised me a duel when next we met.
Not to break my word, must break my heart.
My neck, I think you mean.
'Tis what I said.
This is a strange anatomy, methinks.
'Twould be portentous, twere born of old. Sage would dissect it and study dead how it had lived, on making miracles.
No portent e'er interpreted itself, nor knew itself better for being such. The dove is caged, the crow alone flies free. We learn all from the flight of birds, save flight.
Then I must teach thee. Come now, to the fight.
Your parry is too slow.
Be very quick.
Nay, I am dead.
This was a false victory. I'm no child. Do not indulge me so.
Many are who now may have their time. I treat you as no child, but as a son.
I wish things were not so as they are.
My breath's too short for longing. We must die.
That must is still no answer as to why. I'll bear thee to the temple and let thee rest. The house is oft more civil for a guest.
Go, bid a messenger to bring my son.
Thou look'st not well.
Did I not bid thee go? Would death not come? But since, alas, it must, I would he were already dead, that I might mourn him sooner and be free of it. Let life not loiter to its end, but die. For grief deferred is worse than very grief, which in its leisure promises relief.
Good morning, madame.
It is ill to mourn.
Why then rejoice? The commons in his sight with frantic ecstasy command him. At every window, door, and awning turn to reverence, as when the sun breaks forth and every surface blazes back its light that makes the brightest summer day more bright. The mothers envy you, And more than once I heard one say she'd kill for such a son. And those with daughters, well,
Should honor them.
indeed they should, indeed, my noble lord, and so in deeds and not in word, give thanks.
And why would you reward him so, my lord?
'Tis justice he deserves for this his done.
Are you a just man?
I am just a man, yet being so, 'tis justice he should have.
Then give him such. He broke our sacred law, the rule defied, which strictly does forbid the lonely war. The forfeiture is death. Is this not just?
It is just the barest reckoning of this event. He saved us all.
What's more, he is your son. Though hated, I wish not this pain on you.
Go to, this does not threaten honest love. Who thinks I am too stoned to love him much? I'll melt my pearl as proof that it was such.
Oh, mother, what's to do?
Nothing.
Oh, monstrous. First bind this harpy up. This is the end of ill. I can no more. Send tidings of surrender to my thanes. The choice does make the lesser of two pains.
Come, lady, 'tis our fate we must obey. Another language would I need to pray.
This glory's polished to a richer gloss, for that we did but late despair its loss. The sweetest pleasures are unlooked for ones, as there's more warmth in unexpected suns.
He's cold, he's cold.
I'll meet anon this lord. Parade the troops with threatening ceremony.
I will, my honored lord.
So go with grace.
What use is grace and meat to say over? Now fortune is a soldier, you are sped, that he neglects such loyal men as you.
We're loyal men indeed, my lord.
To you.
There's no man limps who rides, nor stutters on the page. I must have more than that, indeed.
In thought, word, and deed, my lord, we are yours.
The cart horse disregards the idle boy astride his back, presuming to direct. Obeys the driver only. Such the king. We know where truly runs the reins, my lord. Your hand is in our mouths.
So meat shall be. The queen must die, with all who take her part.
There's few men are so loyal.
There was one. Enough of him. I'll come to thee anon.
Betimes my sleep is tortured with the dream that he is dead. And from this dreadfulness, I wake myself with reassurance that 'twas but a dream, for that he lives. But in this hasty comfort, I remember truth, that he is dead, and mourn afresh as he had newly died. Thus nightly do I take a census of oblivion. Now every death is his. Each grave is his. He lies in every coffin, that I may not look on others' ills, but think on him. He was the catchword of my life, which lost cannot be ordered to significance, but waste their precious sense in disarray. To blanch our shadows thus, we bruise our day. I saved my gold for last, which burnishing all duller colors wore away to blank indefinites. So there I'll aim and mark. What need have eyes when all the world is dark? O lady, thou deserves no mourning now, that smoked thy son. But these are tears of gall. To weep for one demands I weep for all.
What's this? She's dead?
And looks by her own hand.
There's none need know 'twas so. She will not tell. Another wound will make all credible.
Oh, touch her not.
Yet may earn our keep, why stay you so?
She looks my daughter's years.
And what is that?
Why, 20.
Come now, fool, I meant, what's that to you?
Why, half my life. Which if she were to die and I live on, that time should be outbalanced by the years until it were dilute to tastelessness. Perhaps she has a father.
Mind him not.
I do. Consign me to him. He shall pay.
My lord, the queen is dead, and this her slave.
Her slave? She was no slave, for she was free.
She is not now, my lord. She hath a cost.
Dost know what you have done?
Your orders, lord.
And did I order you my daughter's death? You curs, you shalt not live for this. Oh, God.
My lord, we did no more than your command.
To ration it as such, 'twill starve all's good. Had you no heart to know that it was wrong?
This bloody scene proclaims the day is ours.
The day is ours. So must be the night. Till such a change distinguish wrong from right. Yeah. I lived.
Me too.
Yeah, Team Marthanes.
I didn't.
Well done, everyone.
Well, that was fun.